Can I have your attention, please? It is now time for the speeches, and to start will be the father of the bride. So, hope you have your speeches ready. So, yeah, there you go, please.
Joanna and Ben, ladies and gentlemen, I've waited 27 years, 7 months and 2 days for one of the proudest days of my life. When I held Joanna in my arms all those years ago, it was a day that I dreamed about, a day that I knew it was going to be a proud day to walk my daughter down the aisle on her marriage, on the day of her marriage. So, Joanna, thank you for that, sweetheart. It's memories that I'll always treasure. Thank you. On behalf of Kate and David, Carl and myself, I'd like to welcome you all to the celebration of the wedding of Joanna and Ben. It's great to have all our friends and family here with us today, the people that really matter to us most. And I hope you've enjoyed the day so far, and I hope you're going to enjoy the rest of the day as well. I want to mention a few names, if I may. Firstly, on Ben's side, Richard Harwood has come all the way from Panama to join us today. Richard, I don't know how many miles there is between here and Panama, but that's a great effort. And I hope you're enjoying your stay back in the UK, and I hope you're enjoying today. I'd like to mention somebody who's not with us today. Joanna calls her faraway sister. Her name is Nushin, and she lives in Iran. For some strange reason, our British government decided that she was a risk and may abscond, and so refused her a visa to come and join us as Joanna's third bridesmaid. Our thoughts are with Nushin, as I'm sure Nushin's thoughts are with us today. I'd also like to welcome, on my side of the family, some very close friends of ours, Alan and Evelyn and Lottie, who have come all the way down from Dunfermline in Scotland to help us celebrate today. And it's great to have you down here with us. And of course, no event would be complete without my dear mum and dad, who have also come down from Dunfermline in Scotland. So it's welcome to them, but it's welcome to everybody. And as I say, I hope you have a great day. I'd like to thank Gill Manor for hosting us today. I thought the wedding venue was great. It was cosy. It was also hot. But this is fantastic. Lovely setting. I thought the food was great. The service has been good. So, as far as I'm concerned, well done, Gill Manor, so far. There's a long way to go yet. And but certainly, if they keep it up the way they're going at the moment, it'll be a tick in the box from me. So well done. Thank you to them. Now, I'm just a teeny weeny bit biased on this one, ladies and gentlemen, but do you not agree just how beautiful our daughter looks today? To Carol and I, she's beautiful every day of the year. But sweetheart, you look absolutely stunning today. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And of course, our two bridesmaids, Kelly and Zoe. Zoe, where are you? Oh, you're there. Looking absolutely splendid in their pink outfits. And I think that one of the best photographs that we'll have today will be of these three beautiful young ladies together in the one photograph. So well done. Okay, so what can I tell you about Joanna? Well, she's a very loving and caring person, and a very loyal person. She's also a very successful person. She's been successful at school, Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award. She's been successful at university, twice. She's been successful in her job, both before university, during university and after university. And as many of you know, she starts a new job in September as a teacher, which is what she's wanted to do, and change career slightly. So well done, sweetheart. But for me, the biggest success in her short life is to meet and now marry the man of her dreams, in Ben. So well done, Joanna. Biggest success. And I've always been proud of my daughter, and I don't brag about her, boast about her, and some people have said that I probably should, but I don't. I never really have. So I think it's probably an opportune moment for me to say that, Joanna, your mum and I, we love you. We've always been proud of you, and we'll always be proud of you in the future. Okay, soppy bit over for me. It's traditional for the father of the bride to perhaps tell a few mildly embarrassing stories of her daughter growing up. She's a little bit nervous about this part of the speech because she knows we've got incriminating evidence in the form of some photographs that we could share with you. And you never know, they might be down there. But don't worry, sweetheart, I'm not going to embarrass you too much at the moment. We'll probably leave that to the dance floor tonight because me and the dance floor don't really mix. But having said that, I was looking through some old photographs, looking for some inspiration for the speech, and I came across this one photograph, and it's one of Joanna, and she's lying on the floor in front of her mother, and she's sort of gurgling, and she's sort of dribbling, and it looks like she's about to take a few wobbly steps. It's a shame, really, because it was the only photograph Carol managed to take on the hen night. But it's fair to say that she gets her best traits from her mother, and unfortunately a few not so good ones from her father. Obviously her personality, bubbly personality, her friendliness, her absolute good looks, she gets from her mother, no doubt about that. From me, well, baldness is not one of them, thankfully. So that's good. That's good. But I have to say, and she'll agree with this, stubbornness is definitely one. We are both very stubborn cousins when we want to be. Ben, will you agree with that? Yes. And lastly, Joanna, don't worry about it. Everybody sweats. But as any father of a daughter will tell you, that we're all protective of our little girls, and no man's good enough to take their little girl away, are they really? And I suppose it was with that sort of open-mindedness that I first met Ben all those years ago. But 8 years today, there you go. But the truth is that right from the start, Ben has been, Carol and I, to us, you've been like a son to us. The old cliche of, gaining a son-in-law, we're actually gaining a son, it's absolutely true. We love Ben as if he was our own son. And, he really is a great guy, and he's going to make a great husband. And hopefully in the not too distant future, a great dad. And I know Ben. I know that you love her, and I know that you'll protect her as she loves you. And they're a great team. They're a strong team. And I think they're going to be an even stronger team going forward for all the fun times and the challenges that face you going ahead. So good luck to the both of you. So I've got one piece of advice to you, Ben. Now that you're married, if you haven't already done it, it's time to lay down some ground rules. You've got to tell her who's the boss. Just tell her, Joanna, you're the boss, and you'll be fine. Okay, that's enough from me. You actually, I know, want to hear from Ben himself. And of course, the best man, Ben. And I met the best man, Ben, at Ben's Stag Do for the first time. And he's a great guy as well. And he did a fantastic job organising the stag on that day down in Brighton and up in London. He's done a great job supporting Ben up to the wedding, and it's a great job today, Ben. Well done. I look forward to hearing from you in a few minutes' time as well. So that leaves me one further thing to do, and it's a very proud thing that I have to do as well, and that is to propose a toast to the happy couple. So ladies and gentlemen, if your glasses are charged, I'd ask you to stand, wish them health and happiness for the future, and give you Joanna and Ben. Thank you.
Cheers, Neil. Huh? Not nervous, not nervous. Thank you very much. Thank you to my brand new father. You have to give me a second. Thank you to my brand new father-in-law Neil for his kind words. My wife and I would like to say a massive thank you to you all, not just for making it here today, but also for your warmth and generosity since the day we got engaged. You'll have to excuse me if I sound a little nervous, as I'm totally overwhelmed and completely out of my comfort zone. But if standing up isn't bad enough, you'll have to watch me dance later on. You're all about to witness a unique event in history. The very first and very last time my wife is going to let me speak on behalf of both of us. I just hope that so soon into married life, I don't let her down or end up in the lake behind me. So I've been told that I need to balance my speech. Oh, I can't actually use that. How shocking is that? I shall move on. I can't believe that. Unfortunately, there are a few people who couldn't make it here today. On Jo's side, I know her thoughts are with her Uncle Jim, who was very much looking forward to this day. He sadly passed away recently, and our thoughts are with you. On my side, my much missed Grandad Billy, John Pearson, or JP to those who knew him, my mum's parents, all of whom would have been so proud of us both today. I would also like to give a special mention to my auntie Jane, who is being supported by my uncle Chris over there today. Unfortunately, Jane couldn't make it. She's travelling in Outer Mongolia, doing a Duke of Edinburgh award, I believe. So, all greatly missed. So could you all please be upstanding and raise a glass to those who are gone but not forgotten. Do I say it?
She? No?
Yeah. Gone but not forgotten. Don't know. Neil already touched on this just the once, but a special mention must go to Nusheen. She would have been a bridesmaid here today, but like Neil said, due to the silly visa applications and the Home Office, she was unfortunately in Iran. We love you, Nush, and we hope to see you very soon. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Neil and Carol for accepting me into their family. Where's old Neil gone? Can't even see it. There it is. For accepting me into their family right from day 2. Day 1 was... Day 1 was a little shaky, as I could see the look on Neil's face when he brought home some older bloke from Brighton. The look on his face said it all. I know exactly what you're after. But 8 years on, here we are. We've had an open and friendly relationship from the start, and you've always been there to support me and the both of us throughout. The relationship only gets a little rocky when England plays Scotland, or I'm beating Neil on the front 9 of the golf course. Seriously, Neil, after 8 years, you would have thought you would have let me win at least once. Despite this, he still chooses my advice over his best mate, Jamie Oliver, in the kitchen. So would Neil and Carol please like to come up as we have a little something for you. Oh, give that. Neil? No worries. Come on, for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but I've always been this handsome. And for that, I have two people to thank, my mum and my dad. Mum, you look absolutely beautiful today. I only hope mine and my wife's relationship can reflect the love I've seen in you two over the years. You've helped me way more than I deserve and have got me out of more than a few sticky situations. You've always been there for me, and I hope I've done you both proud. I'd like to give special thanks to my dad, as when I was a young boy, he used to take me on occasions to work with him at the Ritz Hotel in London. He must have been short on babysitters. He'd stick me in the pastry section at the Ritz Hotel, and I'd stand there playing with marzipan and making fresh orange juice for the morning guests. I'd also eat the petit fours quicker than the pastry chef could make them. He gave me my first job and has supported me all the way through my career. He's my biggest inspiration, and I look up to him and what he's achieved with the greatest admiration. Even now, he still comes to join me in the kitchen if he knows I need help, almost as if the roles have been reversed. Mum and Dad, please come up as well, because we also have something for you. Yeah. Okay, so I suppose I should dedicate a little time for the star of the show, my gorgeous and beautiful wife, Jo. First of all, I'd like to say what we're all thinking, and that's how absolutely stunning you look today. I truly feel like the luckiest man out there to have ended up with someone so beautiful. They say to be happy with a man, you must understand him a lot and love him a little. To be happy with a woman, you must love her a lot and try not to understand her at all. And that works for me. Before I met you, I spent most of my years a single carefree man, moving up and down the country, whose only real commitment was a love of cooking, until one day I was offered a job at one of Bath's top hotels. Little did I know that this move would introduce me to the love of my life. It was 8 years ago to this very day that I took her out on her first date, after being introduced to her by a few colleagues at work, as Jo used to be a former waitress there before my time as chef. On our first date, I took Jo out for a Thai meal, as it's my favourite cuisine. Jo insisted she loved it too. I later learned she'd never eaten it before. As we sat down and I proceeded to order the bits from the menu, Jo saying she loved it all, she suddenly excused herself and went to the ladies. A few years later, I learned that she'd called her mum in a mad panic about the food I'd just ordered. She'd never heard of anything and she was sure she hated all. But she must have enjoyed it, as we've eaten out at a Thai restaurant every month since and have even travelled to Thailand together. The Thailand trip was thanks to Martin and Pam Reed, who are both with us here today. If it wasn't for you, maybe our engagement would not have been as amazing as it was. So thank you both very much. Oh, bloody hell. I chose to propose in Phuket and funnily enough booked a table at a lovely beachside restaurant called Joe's. Not planned, but went down a treat. I got down on one knee during the meal and thankfully she said yes. Joe, I'd like to take this moment to thank you for all the support you've shown me over the years. You've always been there for me. In 8 years, we've certainly come a long way. You've helped turn me from a lad into a man. And because of that, we are now homeowners, share a great house together. Not forgetting the cats. Oh, bloody hell. God, I've lost a lot of money here. Oh. You know when you're in love, when you look into your partner's eyes and there's nothing but love staring back at you. It's either that or a vacant stare. I truly feel Joe would do anything for me and us. You also know your partner must really love you when she gets up at 4:30 in the morning, not just to take you fishing, but also to join you on the bank. Not many birds would do that without a hairdryer. We couldn't be more different in some ways, but in others we're so alike. She is my chalk and I'm her cheese. I think we complement each other superbly. She's my rock and I need her to keep me on the straight and narrows at times. I'm always amazed she stayed with me this long, let alone agree to marry me. She's a woman who is committed and puts 110% into everything she does. Only I truly know how much time and effort she has spent these last few years becoming a teacher, and I couldn't be more proud. Anyone who knows me knows what a nightmare I can be. Couple that with my job, and I take my hat off to any person who can put up being with a chef and the ungodly hours that we work. She's a chef widow almost every evening and every weekend. It must be all the good cooking when I get home that keeps her so sweet. I miss you when you're not around and can't wait for little Millers to come and join us one day. I love you, Mrs. N. Ladies and gents, please stand and raise a glass to my wife, Jo. To Jo.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, I'm not finished, I'm afraid. I've still got a little bit more to go. All right. One last thing. One last thing since being with you, I've had the privilege of visiting Scotland on many an occasion. This is where I was introduced to your grandparents, who I'd like to give special thanks to for being so welcoming from the start and such good fun. You have always made me feel part of the family, and it's great to see so many of the Scottish contingency here today in kilts. Yeah. Oh, I'm missing bits. No. Huh? Oh my God. No. Is he up?
You shuffle them.
Where have I put it? Oh no. Worst thing ever. I forgot what I was going to go to next time. No, yeah, I know the Celts. I guess I was going to lead on to our bridesmaids for today, who I both think pitched it absolutely perfectly. Not upstage, looking absolutely beautiful, but not upstaging the bride. Joe's head bridesmaid, Kelly, and my sister Zoe. You look both absolutely stunning today. And a special mention goes to all my ushers. Thanks, guys, for all the help and hindrance on the run-up for today, and for making today go so well. You're all looking very dapper. A special shout goes out to my best man, Ben. He's my best mate, and we've shared some pretty cool times together over the years. Thanks for taking on the role as best man. Not an easy job, I know. In fact, I'm pretty sure you had hair before all this started. Thanks for the great stag and for all you've done today. So can Ben, Perry, Sam please come up, as we also have a few things for you. Is that your one? It's all right, mate.
Oh.
That's all right. I thought Perry.
No, it'll be given to me.
Oh, really? Cheap, I know.
We look
Really?
Oh, good. Right then, this really is me done. It gives me great pleasure and plenty of anguish to hand over to you, my best man, Mr. Ben Cooper.
Afternoon all. First of all, I would love to stand up and nail a speech like Neil did. No faffing around with bits of paper, and just said everything he needed to do heartfelt. But I'll never get everything out that I want to say, so I've had to write it down. I will try and keep it as interesting as possible. So here it is, the moment I've genuinely been dreading since Mr. Miller asked me to be his best man. Whilst it's a great honour, it's also a bloody great weight on your shoulders that can't be shrugged off until the end of this speech. So as much as I'd like to sit down now, I'd better do the right thing. If you don't know me, I'm also Ben, and I've known Miller since secondary school at good old Stenning Grammar. It's not actually a grammar school, but I never correct anyone if they say that it is. I was thinking back to when I first saw him, when I was writing this speech, and the rumours already had gone round about him coming from a private school. His dad was some hotshot chef from the Ritz in London, and so I had this expectation of this posh kid who wouldn't fit into our tight-knit and established group of friends. This perception was immediately binned when I was confronted with this floppy-haired, carpet coat-wearing kid who didn't speak like a Victorian and was essentially pretty normal. After a few weekends of Mickey taking, underage drinking, snogging girls, and reluctant Marlboro Light smoking, he was firmly in with us, the hardened, popular lads of the year, although probably at great disappointment to his folks. We became good friends, but the real cementing of our friendship came when work experience was being organised at school. I'd opted to go to a theatre group, but they pulled out at the last minute, and with the horror of potentially going to school for the week, Miller stepped in and after hurriedly putting the paperwork together, through the teachers, I was off to go and work at his parents' hotel for the week. We both thought it would be much more fun than going to school. Nope. It was bloody hard work. And his dad, who to a 15-year-old kid that could crush you with his fist, which I found out months later that he actually could, along with the manageress, kicked my ass for 5 days with no pay at all, and I ended up with a bit of paper saying I'd done okay to take back to school. I could think of many other things I would have done that would have been more fun. Anyway, we pretty much came inseparable from there on, and we were living in each other's pockets due to school, socialising, and ultimately working together after foolishly accepting a job offer from his parents. After my previous experience, I really needed my head testing, but in hindsight, it really was the best thing that ever happened to me. apart from my gorgeous girlfriend, of course. The nice thing about us both working at the same place, and the fact that his parents owned it, was the fact we could get the same shifts and the days off. When Ben got his driving licence, we were free to explore the world, and we did everything together. So I didn't actually need to get my driving licence until I was 22, due to us doing the same things for 5 years. Exactly the same things. I actually think that if you'd asked people back then what his wedding would look like today, they would have almost certainly said that it would be me and him going up the aisle, and not a female at all. Testament to this was earlier when he looked round to me. With that said, I must say that, Joe, whilst I'm contractually obliged to say how beautiful you look today, you really do. And since you've been together, you've made a great team. I always knew you deserved a good man. And Ben, you're just very lucky to have got there before anyone else. Joe, your maid of honour and bridesmaid have done a fantastic job in making sure you didn't keep the old boy waiting too long. And also, as Ben said, looking just gorgeous enough so as not to upstage you. So thank you, Zoe and Kelly. So, after a year or so of kissing our social life and weekends goodbye due to the wonders of catering, we decided that we needed to catch up on all things boozy, social, and generally let loose. We decided we'd go travelling around Europe and started saving from our £100 per week salaries. And the measly tips. Now, I'm not going to lie, it took a while to reach our target of around £3.5 grand. But reach it we did, and we started looking at places to go and see. I'm sure our parents had great aspirations as to where we would go: Rome, Sicily, France. But by the time we actually saved up enough, we just wanted to party. So we went to Ibiza. For 6 months. As it happened, we didn't do the full 6 months. We ended up meeting some crazy New Zealanders and made our way back from Ibiza in a VW camper van a few months early, but we did end up seeing a bit of Europe and even did a few weeks grape picking. The trip was pretty intense, and in hindsight, it's a tricky decision to choose who you go travelling with for that amount of time. But I can hand on my heart say that if I ever had to do it all over again, I'd do it again with you, Miller. He's such an honest and genuine person that people loved him wherever we went. However, I couldn't rely on him for local language skills. Ever. But it was always fun watching him in true British fashion, grunting, talking louder, and waving his arms around when trying to talk to people in Spain and France. As many of you know, he's pretty laid back, apart from when he's in the kitchen, although maybe a bit too laid back on one occasion, when I went missing for 12 hours after falling asleep on a beach. And when I finally walked through the door, he was just about to get worried. A short while later on in Ibiza, someone crept into our apartment whilst we slept and pinched his wallet. Miller emerged from his room, bleary-eyed and scratching himself, mumbling something, whilst I woke up and chased the guy down the road shouting thief, past busy bars, through back roads, through a large chunk of the town until we finally ran out of steam, turned around and pulled a knife on me. It was at this point that two things occurred to me. One, I was only wearing a tiny pair of boxer shorts. And two, Ben was nowhere to be seen. I decided shortly after that Ben would probably prefer me to be alive than to get stabbed over his wallet. Besides, for Ben, it would have been too much admin for him to deal with if I died in a foreign country. So I was doing him a favour, really. No, nothing would have happened. Where did Ben go? I have no idea. No. So when I got back after retracing my route past the crowds of people who had previously seen me moments before at full pelt, waving and screaming at a robber, all the other residents were out of the block and talking to Ben about the excitement. I felt really bad that I couldn't recover it. And secretly, I'd love to have come back the wallet hero. But it soon materialised that Ben was harbouring an embarrassing secret about it all. And there was a grand total of about £4 in it. Cheers, mate. Now, Ben actually benefited from this. benefiting from losing his cash card, but benefiting from losing it as his cash card was in there, so he couldn't spend anything for the remainder of the trip. I think I've only recently got over the fact that I came back £1,000 in debt and Miller came back to a very healthy bank account. Now, Ben isn't one for being the centre of attention, but he did manage it on an epic scale whilst at school. There was a charity fundraiser where students were tasked with coming up with an inventive way to get cash. A group of us devised a way, including Ben, that needed a big audience, and we used the very large stage that was used for school drama productions. We filled the hall with a few hundred students and teachers, and at the end, the huge curtain shut with a few of us lads behind the curtain, whilst the head of year was speaking to the hushed crowd in front of it. It was at this point that I decided it would be a good opportunity for Miller to make a surprise entrance. So we grabbed him, and we threw him across the polished stage, sliding across the floor like a hockey puck, until we reached the curtains where there was a huge drop onto the floor where the head of year was talking. The filled hall had no clue what was going on behind the curtains. Ben then came flying through the curtains, fell 5 feet onto the floor next to the head teacher, and all this wearing a figure-hugging floral dress. It was perfect. And I'm sure he showed more than anyone needed to see. I wish I was there at the other side to see his face. There have been many moments over the years that I could go into, but I won't. Like the time, not long after, he passed his test in his stunning purple Vauxhall Corsa. We were off to Partridge Green, and I thought it would be a good idea to show him a magazine where most of the women's clothes had fallen off, just before a sharp corner. Whilst distracted, we did a bit of off-roading, and he hit a black bollard that marked the bonnet. A mark and a bump that never came off. I thought your parents deserved the truth today. Oh, and seeing as a bit of old school truth is coming out, Kate. In the early days, Ben used your mobile phone we borrowed for emergencies, whilst fishing to prank call radio phone-ins whilst we were drunk in the early hours. I'll leave it there. Which leads me nicely on to say, I hope you all have something nice in your glasses and say congratulations to the new Mr. and Mrs. Miller. To Ben and Joe. Ben and Joe. And be upstanding. Cheers to Ben and Joe. See, the unedited version is later.
I want to see that.